To the French, a trust is a very shady thing in which people want to hide things.
What happens if you don't declare?
There is a 10,000 euros fine per missing year. The French wealth tax is quite specific. We are going to talk about what you guys have to declare if you come to France with a trust. Hello guys and welcome to French Tax Online. Today I'm very happy to be with Sam, who's coming from the US directly, and we are going to talk about a very common topic for US people, but not that common in France, the trust, how it's managed and how it's seen by the French tax office, and what you guys have to declare if you come to France with a trust. I believe we can start. I'm going to try and do my best to answer all of Sam's questions, and maybe we're going to ask Sam some questions. Let's go.
So, what is a trust from the French perspective, and why does France care so much about it?
The thing is, even for a chartered accountant and a tax advisor in France, I have officially no clue about what a trust is because it does not exist in the French law. So to us, to the French, a trust is a very shady thing in which people want to hide things. Of course, this is not the truth. I know that. You guys all know that. But this is exactly how the tax office is thinking. And this is why the French are very suspicious about the trust. And this is why they do not want to encourage people to have some, because they just do not understand it.
Who is actually concerned by this? Is it only US citizens living in France?
Actually not. It's everyone who's the beneficiary of a trust and being a French tax resident on the same time. As soon as you are living in France, no matter where you come from, your citizenship, and as soon as you have a trust, you are the owner, administrator, or anything else, then you have to do something about it. And you have to tell the tax office that you are related to a trust.
And what are the filing obligations? What exactly do you have to declare?
The first year you arrive in France, you have to do a Trust 1 return. This is the first return you have to do, and you basically tell the tax office which trust you're related to and what's inside the trust. Okay? And then yearly, so year 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, and moving forward, you have to do a Trust 2 return in which you just tell the tax office what happened with the trust that year. I sold this, this is new, this is etc., all the changes.
So, trust return it's not an additional tax.
Absolutely not. This is exactly as declaring your foreign bank account on your 2042. It's exactly the same concept, right? You just tell the tax office, hey guys, I'm in good faith. I am the owner of the administrator of this trust. Its name is blah, blah, blah. It's located in blah, blah, blah. And here's exactly what's inside the trust. That's all. You do not pay anything special. You just you give an information to the tax office about your trust to prove your good faith.
What assets need to be declared on the annual form?
Everything in the trust. Very simple.
Does holding assets in a trust affect your obligations for the wealth tax?
Absolutely yes. But be careful about that. You know, Sam, and you guys probably know that the French wealth tax is quite specific because it's a real estate wealth tax at the moment, right? So it means that you only pay the tax on your real estate assets. But if you're a newcomer to France, then your non-French assets would not be taxable before 5 years of you staying in France, right? So if you arrive in France now and you have $5 million in your trust, in real estate assets, you would not pay the French tax on this before 5 years. Above this amount of time, yes, it will become taxable to the French wealth tax.
Are trust distributions taxed in France?
Absolutely, because this is actually a source of income, right? France, given that France has no clue about what a trust is going to take this into account as a dividend and the dividend distribution. So basically, it's a 30% flat rate tax on this.
What happens if you don't declare? What are the penalties?
If you don't declare a trust, there is a 10,000 euros fine per missing year for the trust 2 and a 20,000 euros fine for trust 1 missing year as well.
Is there a risk of double taxation for US citizens, both in the US and France?
Actually, yes, and that's the problem. And this is why I advise my client not to have or to get rid of that trust if they can while coming to France. Because again, France does not know how to manage this. They are not, comfortable with this. I've not seen it myself because I've never had any client in this situation. But when I read online and by reading some jurisprudence, I understand that sometimes clients, they get some money from the trust and France would say, oh, this is distribution, so I want 30% on this. And the client would say, no, 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 it's capital repayment. This is this that France does not know how to handle, right? They don't make any difference between capital repayment and distribution, which is an income. Capital repayment is not an income. You're just getting your own money back, right? You do not want to pay taxes on this. This is the issue, and this is why you can avoid it, but you better be very well documented. And if this is happening, you might not pay in the end, but you're going to fight with the tax office, which is not something you want, trust me.
In order to avoid taxation in France on your basis in a trust, how should you handle that?
In my opinion, you should be able to explain the tax office all of your calculation and why you declare this or why you did not declare this, right? And actually, if you want to prove then that the money you took is capital repayment or is a distribution, then you have to be able to explain all of your calculation. And if your explanation is logical and makes sense, then I don't see how they could tax you, right? The thing is, if you want to be able to fight back against the tax office when they want to charge you something for money which is maybe not capital repayment, you have to be able to explain them why you think this is or you think this is not, right? So you have to be able to provide them with numbers and something logical, right? Because of course the market is volatile. So one day you have 1 million, the day after you might have 500,000 or 1.5, right? So how could they know whether it's capital gain or just capital repayment, right? The only thing to be able to fight back is to have proper figures, logical figures, and ongoing figures. It's just my opinion.
So documentation is key.
Absolutely, documentation is key. It's the only way to fight back.
What are the most common mistakes that US citizens make?
I'd say just not declaring it, and not because US citizens are not honest, it's just because they have no clue about this. No one knows that they have to declare the trust. No one knows about the trust 1 and trust 2 obligation anyway, right? So I would say the number one mistake is not declaring them or not closing them before arriving to France if you might you might do it, right? Depending on the type of trust you have, it's just my understanding of the situation, but I know that some trusts are revocable or irrevocable, right? So if your trust can be closed and doesn't change your tax affairs in the US, then it might be a good idea to do so, right? Because then you have all these obligations in France and it's quite annoying, I would say.
So can French Tax Online help with this?
Of course, Sam, as you know, we have an online form with the trust return for since this year, actually, because we have more and more requests about this. Yes, we can help you manage and file your trust 1 and trust 2 return regarding your trust in France. Of course, it is not an automated file and document. This is just something allowing us to see and understand your situation fairly easily to us, but we would always ask you more questions to be 100% sure about what we are going to declare and how we're going to declare it. Thank you very much, Sam. It was great answering those questions about the trust, even though it's a shady topic, not easy to manage and understand, especially for us. I mean, to me as a French, even though I'm working with US people for quite a long time now, I'm still quite uncomfortable with the trust, because again, this is not French. And this is why, guys, you have to understand that the French tax authorities does not like it, because we are not used to it. And as you know, human beings do not like what they don't understand. Thank you very much. See you soon on French Tax Online.
Thanks for having me.